Good morning, students. In yesterday's class, we were discussing about single index model and we have already completed two problems on single index model. In today's session, we will cover up rest of the problems and we will start up with Sharpe's optimal portfolio. Okay. So we will go through the third problem on single index model. I hope I'm audible and the Word document is visible to all the participants. If not, just put that in the chat box. So in this third problem, it goes like this. An investor owns a portfolio of 4 securities with the following characteristics. So we are given with 4 securities naming 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are given with the weights, we are given with the values of beta, and there is the fourth column, random error, and it is standard deviation. Okay, so this term is important because we need random error term in terms of variance, but here it is standard deviation. So we need to square this. So we are supposed to calculate the portfolio risk assuming the standard deviation of returns on market index to be 16%. So here also we are having standard deviation. We need variance of market index. Okay. Now we have the same standard formula here, that is standard deviation of P, that is portfolio. So here you're having beta of portfolio into variance of market index plus summation the proportion of residual variance, that is random error, which we have to convert that into variance. Okay, so now we will start with the first working note. Now here you will have two working notes. One is for calculating the beta value, okay, for the portfolio beta, as well as we are going to calculate for the residual variance. Okay, so here to calculate the value of beta, we have summation weights into beta of individual securities. Now it is important for us to know what is the weight for individual securities. Now when you just look at this particular problem, you are having the weights that are being given in terms of 0.25, 0.30, 0.15 and 0.30, which will be multiplied with the individual beta of securities. So that calculation is shown here. I request the students please to mute your audio. So this is a calculation for portfolio beta for individual securities, that is 0.25 into 0.79 plus 0.30 into 1.85. So we are referring to second and third column values, okay, plus 0.15 into 1.05 plus 0.30 into 0.82. So the summation of each of these individual betas will give us the portfolio beta, that is 1.156. And then this part we are going to substitute here because we have already calculated the beta as 1.156. So we need the square, so 1.156 the whole square, and then this is standard deviation of returns on market index, but we need market index variance or variance of market index. So we need to square, that is 16 square. Plus we have to calculate this value, and that is why we are going to write the second note number, that is calculation of portfolio residual variance. But here we are given with the random error, that is standard deviation. So we have to calculate the variance of it. Now, as far as weights, yes, that will remain same. That is 0.25, 0.30, 0.15 and 0.30. And as we need to calculate the residual variance and we are given with the standard deviation, so we have to square the standard deviation. So that is 12 square. I guess I had straight away taken it as 12. So we need to square it because we are given with the standard deviation. So 0.25 square into 12 square will give us 9 plus 0.30 square into 8 square will give us 5.76 plus 0.15 square into 7 square will give us 1.10 plus 0.30 square into 20 square will give us 36. So the summation of all these four securities residual variance will give us 51.86. So that we need to substitute in the main formula here, that is 51.86. So 1.156 square into 16 square will give us 342.10 plus 51.86. So the summation or the addition of these two values will be 393.96, which is variance. So as we have to calculate portfolio risk, so the standard deviation of 393.96 will give us 19.84. So we are just asked to calculate the portfolio risk. So the portfolio risk is 19.84. So during calculation, I request students to just cross verify the calculation. If somewhere you feel there is some mistake, you can just notify it to me and put that in the chat box. So if problem number 3 is clear, then we will move on to the next problem. So I assume it is clear. I will move on to the fourth problem on single index model. So the problem goes like this. Mr. John is a risk cautious person. Mr. John is a risk cautious person. He is advised by a friend to buy the following stocks in equal proportion. The information regarding the stocks are given below. So here we are supposed to calculate the portfolio risk which is given here, and we are given with the three securities A, B and C. We are given with the beta values, residual variance as well as market return variance is 25. Now the keyword in case of this particular problem is all about equal proportion. Now equal proportion, it means we are trying to speak about the weights here. Okay, the weights are allocated equally for each of these particular securities. Though weights are not given in the problem, but they have given us the key word called as equal proportion. Now, equal proportion is going to be equally the investment that is being done for security A, B, and C. So you can straight away take 1 divided by 3. If it is for 4 securities, you can take it as 1 divided by 4 and so on. Okay, so that is going to give us the weights or the proportion of investment that is done towards each of the securities, and rest of all the data is given to us. We have to just calculate the portfolio risk. Okay, and this is the formula: beta portfolio beta into market return variance plus summation of weights into residual variance. Okay, so first again we are having two working notes here. One is to calculate the portfolio beta and second one is with regard to summation of residual variance. Okay, so why have we taken here 0.33? As I've already told here, they have not given separately with regard to weights that are being assigned for each of these securities. So the one key word, that is equal proportion, itself signifies that equal proportion of investment is done for each of the securities, and that is why we have taken three securities as 1 by 3, which is equally divided. If it is 4, then it is going to if they are having 4 securities, then it will be 1 divided by 4, that is 25% allocated for 4 securities. Okay, so here it is 3, so we have taken 1 divided by 3, that is 0.33 into the beta value, that is 0.84 plus 0.33 into 1.27 plus 0.33 into 1.17. So the summation of all these three individual beta will give us the portfolio beta as 1.08, that we need to substitute it here. Okay, into we are already given with the market return variance, so this is 25. Now the second note is going to be with regard to calculation of residual variance. Now here also weights will remain same, that is 0.33 square into, we are already straight away given with the residual variance values. So we are just going to insert the values. If it is standard deviation, then we need to square it. Okay, so 0.33 square into 5 plus 0.33 square into 12 plus 0.33 square into 18 will give us the value of 3.81. So this value we are going to insert that into the main formula, 3.81. So 1.08 square into 25 plus 3.81 will give us the variance value of 32.97. So the square root of 32.97 will give us the portfolio risk as 5.74. So even in this particular problem, we are just asked to calculate the portfolio risk. Okay. So in case of portfolio risk, always in case of single index model, we have to make two working notes. One is to calculate portfolio beta and second one is to calculate the portfolio residual variance.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, in before some calculation of portfolio residual value of square 12 square and all. 0.25 square into 12 square you have done. But for the next sum, why didn't you square 5 square?
just a minute. You're speaking about this problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Calculation of portfolio residual value.
Yes, yes. I'll come back to you.
Formula is square, na?
Mhm. Okay. Now, when we are going to calculate residual variance, now if you just look at this particular column, okay, what is given here? Random error in bracket standard deviation. But what we are supposed to calculate? We are supposed to calculate variance. And how do you get, and what is standard deviation? They have done the root of it, okay, and the root value is 12. And when you want to calculate variance, we have to square it. And that is the reason here we have taken 0.25 square into 12 square. This 12 is actually standard deviation, random error standard deviation, but we need standard, I'm sorry, residual variance. And that is why we have squared this particular value of 12. But whereas when you see this particular value, straight away they have given the value of residual variance as 5, 12, 18. So you need not again square it. Okay, if it is standard deviation, then you have to square it. If straight away they have given the value of variance, you just need to insert the values there. For example, if you consider even this value, market return variance is 25. So you have to just take the value of 25. If they would have given market return standard deviation as 25, in that case you have to square it. Is it clear, Akshata?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay, so here in this particular table you are given with standard deviation. Okay, but here, and for that matter in this problem both values are given in terms of standard deviation of returns on market index as well as random error standard deviation. But in this particular problem both the values are given in terms of variance, and that is the reason we are straight away inserting the values, but rather we are not squaring it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So if any student is having any other doubt, you can just ask or put that in the chat box, else I will move on to the next problem. Okay, I assume the previous problems are clear. I will move on to the next problem. An investor wants to build a portfolio with the following stock. Find out the portfolio return. The investment is spent equally over the stock. Now, in this case, we have to just calculate the portfolio return. Okay, so you might have combination of questions like calculate portfolio risk and return, or it might be only portfolio return, or it might be only portfolio risk. Okay, now in this case, we have to calculate the portfolio return, and this word is important again. The investment is spent equally over the stock. It means it is trying to speak about the weights that are assigned for each of the security, or it,
Okay, Divya.
Pallavi, just mute your audio. So in this particular fifth problem, we have this keyword called as the investment is spent equally over the stock. Okay, and we have to calculate portfolio return. Now, when we are having four securities, again 25% is invested in each of these particular securities of P, Q, R, and S. Okay, it means it is 25% each. And the market return is 15%. So now we will start with this formula is important to remember, because based on this formula we are going to classify that in terms of working notes and just place the final values in the formula. So alpha p that we have discussed in the theory aspect in the previous class as alpha p refers to the returns on individual securities, and portfolio beta, it is all again trying to calculate the change or the movement of securities with the reflection of market return. So we need to calculate even portfolio beta. So we are going to come up with two working notes. One is for calculating the alpha value for individual securities, and second one is the beta of the portfolio. Okay. So the first working note is for alpha p. And what is a working note? Summation of weights into the values of alpha coefficient. And what is the weights here? As I've already told, this is a keyword, equally over the stock. So we are just going to do 1 divided by 4, which is nothing but you will get 25% or 0.25. So it is spread equally towards all the 4 stocks of P, Q, R, and S. So here 0.25 into the alpha value minus 0.26 plus 0.25 into minus 1.5 plus 0.25 into 1.15 plus 0.25 into 1.45. So the summation of all this will give us the value as minus 0.241, because here you are having two values, okay, which are comparatively higher, that has got a minus sign, and that is why the alpha value of individual securities minus 0.241. And then we have to calculate the portfolio beta. So portfolio beta, summation weights into beta I. So 0.25 into values of individual betas, that is 0.71, 0.92, 0.58, and 1.15. So here you have 0.25 into 0.71 plus 0.25 into 0.92 plus 0.25 into 0.58 and 0.25 into 1.5. So the summation of all these individual beta value with the weights will give us the value as 0.84. So this value we are going to insert in this particular formula, that is 0.84, that is portfolio beta into market return is 50. So substitution of this will give us the value of portfolio return, which is 12.36%. Okay, or you can just keep it as 12.36. So this is just the calculation of portfolio return. So if it is clear, we will move on to the last problem of portfolio risk and portfolio return on single index model.
Ma'am, if equal proportion is not given, then
If equal proportion is not given, then they have to give us the individual weights that are being assigned for each of the securities.
okay, ma'am.
So I hope up till here it is clear. We will move on to the last problem here. The mean returns for the stocks during the year are given below. The variance of returns are also given below. Okay, so this is a particular table which is given to us with regard to stocks. Mean return is nothing but it is going to be expected return, and we are given with the variance. Okay, so we are having these stocks of four different companies. Okay, and you are given with the expected return, you are given with the variance. Okay, now here the treasury bill rate is 7%. So wherever it is specified with regard to government bonds or in case of treasury bills, so these are the type of securities which will signify us the risk-free rate of return. It means it carries no risk at all. Okay, and you are having a predetermined rate of interest that is being defined. So those type of securities are called as risk-free securities. So here one type of security, again treasury bill, is a risk-free security, or what we can call it as a risk-free rate of return. So the treasury bill rate is 7%, and it is asking which security is best to buy. And second question is, if the standard deviation of market index is 10%, what would be the return for best stock? Okay. Now in this case, we are supposed to calculate for two different questions. One is asking about which security is best to buy, and second is trying to ask us about the return for the best stock. So we have two different calculations that we need to make. Okay. So now we are going to make use of these data. One is the mean return is nothing but the expected return. We are going to make use of the variance where we are going to find out the risk, and you will find the risk in terms of standard deviation. And then you're having the risk-free rate of return over and above the market return. Okay, and that will help us to find out to what level is the systematic risk. And then you're having here market risk. That is, this we are going to consider it for the second part of the problem. Okay. So now in this case, we have made two columns for the calculations here. Okay, mean return is all about expected return, and then we are given with the treasury bills for the first part of problem, wherein it is asking us which security is best to buy. So we are considering out of the expected return, what is the proportion of risk free rate of return, and divided by the total risk, which is giving us in terms of standard deviation. Okay, and this note is important to consider. Okay, because here we are given with the values of variance, and we have to find out the risk towards the returns. Okay, so now we need to calculate the square root of each of these variance values. That is, root of 8 is 2.83. In the same way, we have to calculate root of 18, root of 22, and root of 21. Okay, because we need to calculate the standard deviation. Okay, so now for the first stock of Anil Electricals, okay, the expected or the mean return is 20, and the risk free rate of return is 7, divided by standard deviation. As I've already told, we have to calculate, or you can just show that in the form of working notes for the standard deviation of each of these variants. Okay, so root of 8 is 2.83. So 20 minus 7 divided by 2.83 will give us 4.59. Okay. So with this calculation, we are going to find out which security is best to buy. And that security always will be best to buy, which is giving us the highest returns. Okay. In the same case, we are going to calculate for the second company stock, wherein you are having the mean return as 25% and the risk-free rate of return will prevail for all the four securities, that is 7. And we are going to calculate the standard deviation for the variance of 18%, which is 4.24. That is root of 18 is 4.24. Okay. So after this simplification, you will get the value as 4.24. The same you're going to calculate for expected return or the mean return as 35 minus 7 divided by 4.69 is root of 22. So you'll get the value as 5.97. And then you have for the last security or the company's stock, 32 minus 7 divided by 4.58. So you'll get the value as 5.46. So out of all these calculations, okay, in this case, we are going to find that particular return which has got highest returns. Now, when you compare between these four values, okay, you're having 5.97 and 5.46. So 5.97 is comparatively higher than rest of the securities. So here we write the conclusion because it is saying which security is best to buy. So the security is best to buy which has got highest returns. So here Karthik Limited security is best to buy because the returns are comparatively higher in relation to that of other stocks. So this is going to be the first part of the answer for the question which is asked as to which security is best to buy. Then we are having second part of the problem where only greater consideration is given towards the market index, or you can call it as market risk, or you can also call it as systematic risk. So we are going to take that into consideration. So we are not taking standard deviation here because in the second part of the problem you're given with the value of uh, market risk. Okay, so in that case first part of the calculation will remain same. Only in place of standard deviation we are going to insert this value of 10. Okay, and wherein you will get these values after substitution. Now the question is asked, what would be the return for the best stock? Okay, here also we are going to consider the returns which has got highest value. So in comparison of all these four, you're having security again of Karthik Limited, which has got as the best stock, which is the value of 2.8. Okay, so the answer is the same even in case of to calculate which security is best to buy in purchases as well as in terms of returns, and definitely it will remain same because the purpose is going to be the purpose of choosing a portfolio or a security will always be in terms of highest returns. Okay, so this is all with the calculation of portfolio return, portfolio risk. So up till here, if it is clear, then we will move on to the next aspect of portfolio construction, that is Sharpe's optimal portfolio. So I hope up till here it is clear. Now we will move on to the next aspect, that is Sharpe's optimal portfolio. Okay. Now in the previous questions which we have solved in case of single index model, we just try to identify as to which security is best, which individual security is best, or in terms of portfolio return. But in case of Sharpe optimal portfolio, the greater relevance is given towards selection of portfolios, and the selection of portfolios is going to be optimal, or in other words you can say it is trying to focus in the form of investment or the proportion of investment that can be made out of the available securities. So how much to invest in security A or how much can we invest in security B, so that we can decide based on this particular calculation of optimal portfolio. It means the Sharpe is giving us a particular model where you can select appropriate securities in a portfolio. And what do you mean by appropriate securities in a portfolio? It means the proportion of investment is going to be higher in those securities where the returns are going to be definitely high. Okay, so it is going to give us a clear picture. Highest portion of investment should be done in which security, and lowest investment should be done in which particular security out of available securities in a portfolio. So that is all the concept behind Sharpe's optimal portfolio, wherein the key word is all about selection of appropriate securities in a portfolio. And this selection of appropriate securities or the selection of any stock is directly related to this keyword called as excess return to beta ratio. Okay, and this calculation is going to help us in finding out the proportion of investment that we can do towards individual securities in a group of portfolios and eliminate those securities which might give us a negative returns in the calculation, so that we are going to understand clearly when we solve a particular problem on Sharpe's optimal portfolio. Now, before that, we will try to understand what is this excess return beta ratio. So before that, the formula to calculate excess return beta ratio is this. RI is nothing but the expected return minus RF is a risk-free rate of return. Beta is going to be the beta coefficient will help us to determine the movement or the change in the stocks subject return of stock subject to that of market returns. Okay, now as I was telling about excess return beta ratio, this statement will give us a clear idea wherein it is saying it is the difference between the expected return on the stock and the risk free rate. Okay, so what is this risk free rate of interest here? Risk-free rate of interest is that interest where the rate of interest is already being predetermined or which has got a zero risk. Okay, so it can be government bonds, government securities, treasury bills, and so on. Okay, so this excess return to beta ratio, it is going to measure what is the additional return on security per unit of systematic risk. Now, per unit of systematic risk is all about beta. Okay, so over and above the expected return, how much is the additional return an individual investor is going to receive subject to that of systematic risk or what we call it as market risk. That is the meaning of excess return beta ratio. It is the difference of expected return and risk-free rate of return, and it is going to measure additional returns on a security for every unit of beta or for every unit of systematic risk. Okay, and then we have to understand there are certain steps that we have to follow when we are going to calculate for Sharpe optimal portfolio. Okay, there is certain ranking which is being done for the stocks, and the ranking is done based on this particular formula, based on the formula of excess return beta ratio, that is RI minus RF divided by beta. Okay, now how the stocks are being selected to find out proportion of highest investment with that of lowest investment. So it is depending on this keyword again. You have to calculate a particular cutoff rate, okay, that we will see in the problems when we have solving it. Okay, such that all stocks with higher ratios are included and stocks with lower ratios are left out. It means once you define a particular cutoff point, all the values which are above the cutoff or within the cutoff point would be selected for the portfolio investment, and all those which are not meeting out the cutoff rate or which has got lower ratios, that will not be considered for portfolio investment or portfolio selection. Okay, and that cutoff rate which we are trying to specify here, it is denoted by C star. Not only C star is going to be the cutoff rate after the necessary calculation based on the formula. So now we have to remember some 5 important steps when we are going to make calculations with regard to Sharpe optimum portfolio. Formula is, I will not say it is big, it is little complicated, but we can easily break this particular formula into various columns so that it becomes easier to just place the final values on this particular formula. Otherwise it would be very tedious, because when we are speaking about portfolio, definitely you will have more than 2, 3, 4 securities, or for that matter, if it ranges to 7, 8 securities, in that case, it becomes very tedious process and difficult to put all the values in this particular formula. And that is why we are going to break this particular formula and we are going to calculate it separately in the form of various different columns, and only the final values will be inserted in this particular formula. Okay. Now we need to understand the steps. So before that, first we have understood Sharpe's optimal portfolio is all about selecting the appropriate securities for the portfolio. We should understand what is the excess return beta ratio, then what is the meaning of this cutoff rate, and the cutoff rate is denoted in terms of C star. Okay. And most important, you have to remember this basic formula first, that is expected return minus risk free rate of return divided by beta, that is RI minus RF divided by beta of individual securities. Okay. Now the first step is we have to find out excess return to beta ratio for each stock under consideration. It means in the problem, the number of securities which are being given, we have to calculate separately the excess return to beta ratio for each of these particular stocks. Okay. And then you have to rank them from highest to lowest. Even at times, if you ignore the step 2 is also fine, because you will get a clear idea once you calculate the C star or the cutoff rate. So the value which has got highest value and above all those securities will be considered, and the values which is not within the cutoff rate or which is less than that will be ignored for selection of portfolio. Okay. And then we have to calculate CI. Okay. And this CI is giving us a clear idea to calculate the cutoff rate. Okay. So we have to calculate this for all the stocks according to the ranked order using the formula. So it is important, if we have to make the number of columns which is required for calculation of the optimum portfolio, we have to remember this important formula. Now based on this formula only, we are going to make the groupings for columns. Okay. So here you are having variance of market index, summation. Now summation of this value, that is Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta I. So we are going to find out first Ri minus Rf divided by beta value, first thing, wherein we are going to calculate excess return beta, and then we are going to use this particular another column, that is Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta value divided by n, then the whole divided by 1 plus. So this n is all about the summation. So don't get confused. It is better I will delete this. So this summation what we have inserted here, summation n I is equal to 1. So that is again included here also. So divided by 1 plus again variance of market index, summation n I is equal to 1, beta I square divided by residual variance. So remembering this formula is important. Only then we can make further calculations. Okay. So where this is variance of market index, and then you are having stocks unsystematic risk or residual variance. Okay. And then the last step is going to be the cumulated values of CI start declining. Now what is this cumulative values? This summation is helping us to calculate the cumulative values. So the cumulated values of CI start declining after a certain point, and that point is taken as the cutoff point. Yes. So what I was telling about C star. So that is all. Once we calculate the values for CI, then we can define the cutoff point or the cutoff rate. Also that stock ratio is the cutoff ratio C. Okay. So these are the 4 steps that we have to remember when we want to calculate the values of CI, and at the end we have to find out the proportion of highest investment and the proportion of lowest investment for the securities in a portfolio. Okay. So now we will move on to this first problem. Okay. A portfolio manager has the following information about several stocks. He has to build an optimum portfolio for his client without short sales. Okay. Now, in case of Sharpe's optimal portfolio, you will have 2 types of problems. One problem will be with short sales, and second one is without short sales. So I have taken 2 problems, wherein first problem will speak about Sharpe's optimal portfolio without short sales, and the second aspect of the problem is going to be with short sales. Okay. So now we will understand this particular table calculation. Okay, we will just understand this table for today calculation, and how to insert the values and calculate the cutoff rate and all other rest of the aspect we will take up in tomorrow's session. Okay. Now this particular table is all about securities, which is ranging from security A to security H. We are given with the expected return, which is denoted in terms of RI. We are given with the values of beta. We are given with the values of residual variance. And then the statement is the market index variance is 12%. Okay. Now market index variance is nothing but this value. Okay. Market index variance is already given. And the risk-free rate of return is 7%, because we have to calculate RI minus RF divided by beta. Okay. So that is going to be the first step. That is, find out the excess return to beta ratio for each stock under consideration. Okay. So now I will just show how to calculate this RI minus RF divided by beta. The same you can do that in the calculator. Now expected return is all about RI. RF is nothing but 7%, that is risk-free rate of return, divided by the beta of individual security. Okay. So you have 22, that is expected return, minus risk-free rate of return is 7, which will give you 15, divided by beta is 1.0. Okay. So with this you will get RI minus RF divided by beta as 15. Okay. The same we are going to calculate up till security H. So in case of second, you are having 20 minus 7 divided by the beta is 2.5. Okay. That will give you value as 5.2. Then for the third security, you are having 14 minus 7 divided by the beta as 1.5. You will get 4.66. It is recurring, so you can take it as 4.67. Okay. Then for D, 18 minus 7 divided by 1.0. You will get the value as 11. So I have done here a mistake as 7.33. So I have just highlighted this here. I will just erase it. The value comes to 11. 18 minus 7 is 11 divided by beta as 1. You will get it as 11. So I have written it as 7.33. So I just delete this. And the same value will have certain change for rest of the columns also. Okay. In the same way, you're going to calculate for the security E, that is 16 minus 7 divided by 0.8 will give you 11.25. Next, 12 minus 7 divided by 1.2 will give you 4.1666, or you can take it as 4.17 also. Next, you're having security G, 19 minus 7 divided by 1.6 will give you 7.5. And last one is 17 minus 7 divided by 2.0 will give you 5. So this is the first part of the calculation, okay, for Ri minus Rf divided by beta, okay. So in this case, the second step is saying that you should do the ranking, okay. The second step says that you have to rank them from highest to lowest. You can rank them based on this. Again, you would have to prepare a separate column, okay, for each of the security from highest to lowest, and this also will change. So you can do it, or you need not do it also, because when we are calculating the value of C star, that is cutoff rate, you will actually get to know all the values which are at the lower end will not be taken into consideration for selection of portfolio, okay. So you can just skip that particular part of ranking and you can proceed with the further calculation, because at the end the values which have got lower returns or lower CI, that will be eliminated for selection of stocks in the portfolio, okay. Now, these rest of the columns are prepared based on the formula. Now, when you just see this particular formula, we need to do this calculation because variance of market index is already given in the problem. So we are just going to insert that value. We have nothing more calculation to do. But here you are having the calculation, that is summation Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta I. Then you have to find the summation of each of these stocks, okay. So we are just going to make two columns for this. One is to just calculate this value, and second we are going to make summation of the calculated values, okay. So this third column is Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta I. So expected return is 22 minus risk-free rate of return is 7. Then we have to take residual value variance, which is given in the fourth column in the problem, divided by 35, okay, into 1.0, that is beta. So we'll get the value as 0.42. In the same way, you're going to calculate it for rest of the securities. Now for second security, you are having 20 minus 7 divided by 30 into 2.5. That will give you the value as 1.08. Then for security C, you have 14 minus 7 divided by residual variance is 25 into 1.5. That will give the value as 0.42. As here I had taken the value as 7.33, the calculated value further was 0.14. Okay, so that value will change here. So the expected return is 18 minus 7, and the residual variance is 80 into 1. So you will get 0.137. So I'll just delete this. And in the same way, you have to calculate for E, F, G, and H. So for E, it is going to be 16 minus 7. Residual variance is 20 into 0.8 will give us 0.36. Then for F, 12 minus 7. Residual variance is 10 into 1.2. That will give us a value of 0.6. Next for G, we have 19 minus 7 divided by 25 into beta is 1.6. that is 0.768. You can take it as 0.76 or 77. Next you have 70 minus 7 divided by residual variance is 30 into 2. That will give us a value of 0.66, which is recurring. You can take it as 0.67. So this is the first part of the numerator calculation. So there we have summation. Now when it is summation, we are going to take the cumulatives because we have to calculate CI. So this first value will remain same as it is 0.42. Then we are going to start with the second part, that is 0.42 plus 1.08 will give us 1.5. So as this is cumulative, so it is going to be 1.5 plus 0.42 will give us 1.92, and 1.92 plus 1.92 plus 0.137 will give us 2.05. Okay, so I'll just delete this. Okay, then here it is giving 2.057. You can just take this, or you can just make this as 6, not a problem. So it's 2.057 plus 0.36 will give us 2.417. So it is 42 plus 0.6 will give us 3.017. I have taken it as 3.02 plus 0.77 will give us 3.787. I have taken 3.79 plus 0.67 will give us 4.457. You can take it as 4.46. So this is the summation, or you can call it as the cumulative. So with this, we will complete the first part of the calculation which is required for the formula in the numerator. This part. So first we have done this calculations, that is Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta, and the next column is all about cumulative or the summation. Now we have to calculate for beta I square divided by residual variance first, and then you have to take the summation or the cumulative values that we are going to see in these two columns. Okay. So we are having beta I square divided by residual variance. We are just given with a beta, we have to square it, divided by, you need not square this because it is already in the form of variance. If it was standard deviation, then you have to square it, else not required. So so beta value, that is 1.0 square divided by 35 will give you 0.028 here. Okay, in the same way we have to calculate for rest of the securities. 2.5 into equals divided by 30 will give us 0.208 for security B. Next, 1.5 into equals divided by 25 is 0.09. Next, for security D, 1.0 into equals divided by 80, or 1 divided by 80. So it is 0.012, you can take because it is 125. Next, you are having for security E, 0.8 into equals divided by 20 will give you 0.032. Next, for F, it is going to be 1.2 into equals divided by 10, that will give us 0. Just a minute. For F, 1.2 into equals divided by 10, that is 0.144. Next, for G, 1.6 into equals divided by 25, that is residual variance, that is 0.102. And last is 2 into equals divided by 30 will give us 0.133. So this is the denominator calculation. Now we have just we are supposed to calculate the cumulative here. Okay, so 0.028 as it is plus 0.208 will give us 0.236 plus 0.09 will give us 0.326 plus 0.012 will give us 0.338 0.326 plus 0.012 will give us 0.338. Next, 0.338 plus 0.032 will give us 0.37 plus 0.144, 0.514 plus 0.102, that is 0.616, and last one plus 0.133 will give us 0.749. These values are changed because this particular value was 7.33, so it will reflect all the values here. So with this, we complete with the summation of beta I square summation divided by residual variance. So we have no calculation for this because already the value is given with regard to variance of market index. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we will calculate the values of CI, and then we will find out the highest or the largest proportion of investment in a particular security of a portfolio and the lowest investment. Okay. So I hope up till here this particular table is clear. If this table is clear, then we will straight away write the formula and insert the values. Again, we need not do the calculation. The values which are seen here, whether it is 0.42 or it is 0.08. So these are the values that we are going to use to calculate the values of CI, then find out the cutoff point. So if anybody is having any doubt, I'll just address it. Else, we will end the session for today. And in tomorrow's session, we will complete the rest of the aspect for the calculation of Sharpe's optimal portfolio. Padmaja has got a doubt. Ma'am, in the third column, why are we multiplying beta value? According to formula, we have to directly divide the residual variance. So Padmaja, are you speaking about this? You can just unmute yourself.
Up one, ma'am.
You're not audible to me.
Hello?
Yes.
Ma'am, that F1, RI minus RF divided by the down you have given the formula as RI minus RF divided by the residual value. Then that only divided by that sigma standard deviation square EI.
You're speaking about this?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
Here ma'am, here you have given into and that down you have given as divided by
In the previous
in the
document.
problem.
In the previous document. I guess here I have done changes. Yeah. This.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it was I forgot to tell. It was a mistake from my side. It is not divided. It is multiplied. It's the same formula that you will see here. Ri minus Rf divided by residual variance into beta I. So that is a mistake which I had done in that previous document which I have shared.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, I forgot to highlight this, that this was an error which I had done. So this is as per the formula. Okay. So the values did not change here, but I took here it as divided by beta, which is wrong. As per the formula, it is into beta divided by residual variance. And the same goes with this column also. Okay. Any other doubt, or shall we end the session for today? So I hope students have followed what has been discussed in today's session. Okay, so we will end the session for today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.